Hello, friends. Welcome to Alberta News and Views. Today, Danielle Smith announced her retaliatory measures against Donald Trump in response to his tariffs against Canada. Yes, my friends, Alberta is going to pull American booze from its shelves. This is absolutely ridiculous. I'm going to show you why in a second. But first, Donald Trump says Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped. He said that has gotten better, but I said, that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious. Like, what's going on here? I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. I tried to find some concrete evidence that this was an actual tweet, and it was. It's all over the news. Trump dismisses Canada's border efforts, accuses Trudeau of power grab. And for those of you out there that don't know and living in Canada, it is a power grab. This is exactly what all of the Liberal NDPers want. They want this emergency. They want this trade war to go on forever if they can. Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc says Canada won't negotiate a compromise on U.S. tariffs, rejecting a suggestion from a U.S. official to meet in the middle. This is from today. They want this to continue on. Jagmeet Singh today says, now's not the time for an election. Of course not. Listen to this.
You want to vote down the government at your earliest opportunity. Do you still stand by that statement, and do you think now is the time for an election?
Now is the time to put workers first. We're literally in a trade war, and I can't imagine any opposition leader that wouldn't want to support a package to help workers impacted by this. We did that during the pandemic. We came together. We need to have that same approach now. So my answer to that is we need support our workers first, put in place working, an election afterwards.
Today, another NDPer, Charlie Angus, said the exact same thing. This is a trade war. It's an emergency. Now, Canadians don't want an election right now. It's bullshit. Pierre Poilievre posted out, our Canada First plan will protect our economy, defend our sovereignty, bring home production and paychecks, and never back down. We will put Canada first, always and forever. Retaliate dollar for dollar to U.S. tariffs. Help affected workers and businesses with tariff revenue. Bring it home tax cut on work, investment, energy, and home building. Scrap the Liberal anti-energy law, C-69 and Greenlight resource projects. Remove interprovincial trade barriers. Rebuild our military and take back control of our borders. That's great, Pierre. All of this will take years and years and years and more years. And of course, it'll come with stolen money, bazillions of dollars from contractors and consultants. It's a mess. Canada has systemic corruption. It's a mess. Yesterday, I said that there is rumbles of Alberta becoming the 51st state. There's a delegate being formed to go to Washington to talk about it. It is getting their ear. Charlie Kirk posted this saying, okay, if Alberta wants to become the 51st state, that is a decent idea. The beautiful Rachel Parker had a great interview with all of this stuff. So check her out on True North. I believe she's Juno News now. Rachel Parker, really good interview. Check it out. Moving on. So Danielle Smith, just watch this. It's just so stupid. All this booze is already paid for, and they're taking it off the shelves. It's dumb. Listen.
And all Alberta municipalities purchase all needed goods and services from Alberta companies, from Canadian companies, and from countries with which Canada has a free trade agreement that is being honored. Second, no further purchases of U.S. alcohol or new VLTs will be permitted through the AGLC until further notice. We'll just have to drink a bit more BC wine and Alberta craft beer and spirits, and that's just fine with us.
We can't. There's interprovincial trade barriers.
Third, I'm directing my government to assist our grocers and other retailers with labeling all Canadian products in our stores and ask them to voluntarily purchase their stock from vendors in Alberta, Canada, or countries that we share free trade agreements with that are being honored. Our government will also augment these efforts with a substantial advertising campaign to assist Albertans to more easily access information about where various products on store shelves are from. I understand as well that there's at least 4 apps that have been created in recent weeks and months that can assist Albertans in doing this. And fourth, my government will enter into free trade and labor mobility agreements with every province that is willing to do so. The goal is to have no exceptions, just free trade and free movement of Canadian workers right across our province.
The way that Canada should have been in the very beginning. There is a silver lining to all of this. Canada is starting to act and talk like a serious country.
I also want to point out that Canada has a secret weapon in this trade conflict with the United States, a trump card, so to speak. And it is located directly under our feet, and it is called Alberta Energy. You see, Alberta happens to have one of the largest deposits of oil and natural gas on the planet. It is significantly larger and far more accessible than the quickly declining oil and gas reserves located in the United States. Whether the US president wishes to admit it or not, the United States not only needs our oil and gas today, they are also going to need it more and more with each passing year once they notice their declining domestic reserves and production are wholly insufficient to keep up with the energy demands of US consumers and industry, let alone having anything left over to export as they do today.
This whole world, all of our products, have been inflated by at least 30%. This happened during the pandemic, and prices never really did come down. It's all inflation, but it's fake inflation. People were paying for it. They were gouging. So I'm going to show you something first. So we're pulling our booze, right? So they interviewed Jack Daniels, and he said, it's terrible. It's terrible what's going on. Don't get me wrong. Jack Daniels maker says Canada pulling U.S. alcohol off shelves is worse than a tariff. Now, that's misleading. He's saying it's worse than a tariff because it's literally taking your sales away and completely removing the product from the shelves at the same time. That is why. But the important part that he says is right here. Canada accounted for only 1% of the company's total sales. Whiting said, I hope I'm saying that right, said the company can withstand the hit. Yes, it can. Canada on Tuesday also imposed 25% tariffs on goods imported from the United States, including wine, spirits, and beer. Whiting added the company would watch out for what happens in Mexico, which according to its annual report made up 7% of its 2024 sales. That's still only 7%. Okay. Everything around here has been inflated by 30%. Now, this is what you have to watch for with these politicians. The tariffs come in, they make money. What are they doing with that money? They should give it back to the people. We'll see what happens with that. In the United States, with Jack Daniels Jack Daniels needs to make up a 1% loss in sales. So what they can do is they can either raise prices to make up for it, or they can lower prices so Americans drink more to make up for the 1%. That's how it works. They're either going to be nice about it and lower prices, or just be dicks about it and raise the prices to make up for it. It's the same thing in Canada. Pay attention to your grocery stores. A lot of these US products, they're marked right up. They might mark it way down now. Go to Costco and check it out. Their prices might be way lower than Canadian prices now. And we might end up in like a price war. Something like that, where they're fighting for the cheapest spot. Because Canada is so reliant on the United States for food, there's no way that supermarkets would start pulling American food. Because it's a very fine line with tariffs, especially pulling booze. I think it's stupid in Alberta to pull the booze because it's paid for already. You're just taking it off the shelves. People have the right to decide what they want to buy with their money. That's already taxed, by the way. So Danielle Smith and Justin Trudeau, it doesn't matter who, Doug Ford, they could really be pissing people off by pulling their favorite booze, and then their food starts to disappear. All because they want you to just buy Canadian. Well, there's not a lot of Canadian products, so you better have something to replace it. And there won't be. Texas has a larger economy than this whole country. During the Super Bowl in the United States, in one day, the United States drinks more booze than Canada does in a whole year. This whole pulling alcohol thing is ridiculous. Jack Daniels, we only make up 1% of their sales. It is a numbers game, my friends. It is a numbers game. There are so many people in the United States compared to Canada. This is ridiculous that we would even consider going toe to toe with the United States. Yes, we have energy and blah, blah, blah. They have Google. They could instantly scale back everything online. They could make life for us extremely miserable if they really wanted to. This is all about a power grab from the Liberal NDP. They love it because now they can just drag out their ridiculous government. Retaliatory tariffs equal a tax on Canadians. $100 billion sounds huge until you realized the American economy, the US economy, is $25 trillion. To them, it's pocket change. Instead of fighting a losing battle, listen to this. Abolish the carbon tax and interprovincial trade barriers. Have you noticed nobody's talking about our taxes that are punishing Canadians right now? Why aren't all of our taxes being lifted until this tariff trade war thing is done? Because they don't care. Because they don't care. If the carbon tax goes up in April, this is all about power and holding on to it. Now, everybody keeps saying that the fentanyl problem is in the United States coming north. It is not. If you watch American media, they are talking about the cartels in Canada. In Canada, the media, Trudeau Media Corp, will never, ever tell you that there are cartels in Canada. There is. Just type in cartels in Alberta, and you will get stuff all the way back 6 years ago on how the cartels have infiltrated Canada and they are here to stay. How Mexican cartels settled in Canada. This is well known in the West. They have set up shop. This is what Donald Trump is talking about when he talks about fentanyl. He wants Canada to strong arm and get rid of the cartel and the drug rings and the labs and all that in Canada. For those of you that don't know, the cartel corruption, especially in British Columbia with China, the money laundering, in the real estate, the drugs, the ports, all of it. It is all systemic with police and politicians. Now, how deep that goes, who knows? Check out Sam Cooper at the Bureau on Substack and look for yourself. It is deep. Donald Trump knows this. They have the intelligence. They're going to wait and see what Canada does, and then he's going to start throwing down those cards, and he's going to make it public, and he's going to say exactly where all of these problems are, and Canada needs to clean it up. Then we're really going to see how Canadian and how Team Canada this country really is. I will keep you updated with as much as I can when I can. All of you out there, like, share, and take care. Follow me on Substack, Spotify, and YouTube. Alberta, Canada could easily turn into a proxy war, by the way. Over in Europe, they're talking about getting ready to go to war with Russia. If all hell breaks loose, there is extreme division in Canada, and we could easily just turn into a mess of civil war and proxy war and half going, these groups going half militia to the United States. Who knows? It's going to be nuts. We could see a northern border limited in and out. Who knows? Just unreal. But following the numbers, though, this whole trade war is just ridiculous, and it could end very, very quickly if we didn't have ultra corruption up in Canada with these politicians that just refuse to call an election. It's infuriating. All roads lead to Western independence, either a 51st state or some sort of economic unionish thing with the United States, or just our own country. I don't care. All I know is all roads lead to Western independence. We have everything we have here. We need complete reform. We can do it. Like, share, and take care.